What's good, everybody? This is Suiken, and I just wanted to take a moment to basically shout out Bandai Namco for a really great beta. Okay, as an old school Tekken player, I've been through a few of these already, right? So a few of these updates and tests and stuff and whatnot. And the one thing I can tell you guys is the experience before was definitely way different. You used to go to the arcade and you used to spend money, and then usually the rounds would always start off around 2 rounds each or something like that before the three rounds, right? And it would cost up to 75 cents to $1.50 at times, right, per game. So you can imagine a lot of us at the arcades playing the newer version or the testing versions, right? And paying for it, right? And a lot of the new players now are going through their first transitional phase from Tekken 7 to Tekken 8. And with that, I hope that the experience that we were given today was a positive one. In my opinion, it was, but I'm just speaking for myself. In terms of the game itself, the game played very well. The different abilities to, change the network capabilities to, have like a rollback per se, and play other players from across the globe. I played a few players from Japan. I played a few players from EU. And, the network was pretty stable. Sometimes it did glitches. It does have its bad moments, but you can't win them all, right? But the majority of the percentage of players that I did play, I did have a positive experience. So big shout outs to Namco for that. Another thing going into the system is the graphics are amazing, truly amazing. I am shocked. One reason is that this is my first experience of playing Tekken 8. I did not get a chance to play it at Combo Breaker or any of the prior times that they had it out. This is my first time. And, I'm not a Namcop. I am, the whole inner circle thing, whatever is right. But this is my first experience. So what I am experiencing right now is what the majority of players are going through, right? And, with that being said, you watch the intro and yeah, the graphic is great. But as soon as you got your hands on it and you played it and you watched the stages, I thought to myself, holy smokes, this is a beautiful game. And it never ceases to amaze me that Namco is always taking it up the next notch in terms of, graphics, right? And I am just, I'm just happy and just excited for the next beta and maybe the next opportunity to play it, which is at Evo. So definitely I'll be excited to play at Evo live there. So, but there is still another CNT coming up, which is really good. Big feedback, to Namco. Make sure you guys, if you had a chance, if you did play it, drop a feedback, and then don't drop the type of feedback like Harada hates, like, oh, where's Christy and all that bullshit. No, don't do that. But talk to them. Tell them like, hey, did you like the heat system? Did you not like it? What can we do to change it? These are things that the developers are listening. Some of them might listen to some reasonable ones. They won't sometimes. They will and they won't. Is what I'm trying to say. But let's go into the gameplay. The gameplay was really good. I picked up the heat system pretty quickly. I don't know if it's just me being a god or anything like that, but the game transferred over really well. Tekken 7, if you're a Tekken 7 head and you moved over to Tekken 8 and you got a chance to play this, a lot of things you will say is, hey, I recognize that move. The inputs are the same. Some characters did have move list changes, which is not too big of a deal. I think the adaptation was relatively easy for me. It might not be for some, but that's how Tekken is. Tekken is one of the harder fighting games out there, and you guys know it. So, but the way the game transferred over was pretty good, smooth. It felt really nice. I relatively didn't have Lei or Eliza or anything familiar, but I was able to pick up Paul and Nina, Leroy, and those are really easy characters in my opinion. And I was really smooth. The highest rank you could have made in the ranking systems during the CNT test was Warrior, and I made that pretty easy, like most people. But at the same time, there were players that I noticed, judging by their prowess, power, and their struggle to learn, it was their first opportunity to play it. So they got a glimpse of a player that has adapted much quicker than the rest, right? So that ended up making it much harder, for them. But I hope it was a positive experience, because a lot of times I just smoke those players, right? Because they have to learn. I didn't want to take it easy, because one thing is that you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn the hard way. And this is a free game and a free beta, all that good stuff. And, if they are able to enjoy learning from that aspect of getting beat up, then they're in good hands, because when they move on to the next game, you guys are going to be fine. Because Tekken 7 has already been it's an old game. So a lot of times you guys have at least touched the game at some point. But there is a small percentage, maybe more percentage, I could be wrong, that new players are trying it out. And I hope so too. And I really hope that you guys stay and play with it. So with that being said, my take on the whole heat system, the block damage, I really don't like the block damage in the game when the heat's activated and whatnot. I don't like that. Because it does make the game a little bit more aggressive towards defensive players, right? Like, there are players that play on defense and are rewarded for punishing correctly and blocking and all that stuff. It was, a mash fest. Of course, that's a given. It's a new game. A lot of people are picking up. They're just hitting buttons. But, I had a moment to sit down and block and just say, what are they going to do? And a high percentage of the time, something was being pressed. And the only time I really played someone that was being, I guess, defensive was a small percentage, maybe 4 or 5 people out of the 100 people I played, right? And the backdashing on that's the next thing I want to talk about, is movement. And the movement in the game is I would say the backdashing is a little bit nerfed. Which is a good thing, because you didn't really need a lot of backdashing to get around. Sidestepping is definitely better. I'm able to sidestep with Jack and all of the larger characters with ease, but then there are some moves that will hit you no matter what. So, but stepping and movement is pretty solid so far. So being patient, movement, backdash still plays a huge key in this game, which is great. Throw breaking is the same as Tekken 7 from what I can tell. 1 and 2 are just regular throws. You can break from either 1 and 2. There are still command throws. You need to have proprietary 1 and 2 breaks or 1+2 breaks. So that's still in there, which means characters that have multiple throw options will have upper hand in this field. So hopefully you guys get your animations together and you're able to adjust by throwing. And at this point in time, it's gonna be a little learning curve but this game is pretty fun so far. What else can we talk about? You know what? And then this the character selection, I do hope they release more. I did find that after maybe the second day, I started to feel not bored. I started to feel like I could play with any of the characters and transition really well. But when I played characters that I enjoyed, for example, I played Paul, and I played him, like Unga Bunga, right? I had a lot of fun because I knew his power output was amazing, and I played Leroy. His power outage was good too, but there were other characters that had really big power, and Jack was one of them. I felt Kazuya was one of them. Jin was also one of them. Brian was really one of them as well so far. You know, I think Kazuya has that one string where it was really obnoxious. Some characters couldn't punish it. There was Harong's heat system string that I think a lot of people we saw use and abuse. And you know, it could be early in the game, but it looked really obnoxious. So I think the damage output for some of those characters are a little high, so hopefully they adjust it. But besides that, the game is still rocking. Ling, you know, is another one of the characters that is a different in terms of damage. It has a lot of good Oki. The setups were there. That whole wall mix-up where they would jump, you could jump over and all that good stuff has returned. So the character doesn't really turn around as much. So if you get caught with a mix-up, you get hit. Rollback also is there. So if you, rollback catches. So if you roll back on a certain setup, you can get launched and set up from rolling backwards. So that's an aspect of the system is returned, and I think I'm all for it. Another thing is their ground hits now force them to roll away in an awkward position, which I think is good because it forces them to get up off the floor away. And sometimes it's much safer to get hit on the floor than roll away because it kicks them out. That's another good thing I like about this game so far. Okay, I don't know if they're going to change anything else. But in terms of that, overall, you know, I loved it. I loved it. Give me more characters. So I hope the next CNT we have at least 2 more characters, and I hope at EVO we see something else. But make sure you guys follow Bandai and Namco. Big shout outs to them again for the code. I didn't get a code originally, but you know, I was really grateful that they reached out to me and offered me a code to play, and I'm truly grateful. This is Suiken. I hope you guys had a good time watching, and make sure you guys follow me on Twitch at Suiken User. But you'll definitely find this video on Level Up Your Game with Rip and Rixta and MYK, who also had a hand in playing this game as well. So make sure you check them out, okay? Thanks a lot again, everybody. You guys have a good one.